Hotep Sinuena Senut Iti Ren I Shakandugu Kemet. I hope you're doing well. The title of this live stream is Metatron. Was Amenhotep III Black Egyptian or multi-ethnic? Multi-ethnic, depending on your pronunciation. Right. Sound seems to be okay. So far, so good. Okay. Oh, yeah, almost forgot the fair use disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. I think it was today, probably this morning. I forgot what time it was. Sometime today, Thursday, October 19th, for the record, 2023. There's a video from an individual entitled Metatron. I'm going to share the title and the link in the chat. There it is. You have it there. I'm going to share the screen so we can all see together. There it is. So, well, this person, I forgot, what was the thumbnail? See that? This is a bug that happens quite regularly. You know, that's his channel, but you have my avatar, my profile picture, you know what I'm saying? But if he does that to you, you can just refresh and then, you know, it's going to be corrected, you see. So, video, that's his latest video, you see, 22 hours ago. The title is My Response to an Afrocentrist on Black Egyptians. All right. So I'm usually interested because, for those who don't know, I have a keen interest on ancient Egypt and the language of ancient Egypt. So I've watched that stream in its entirety. No, it's not. It's not a stream. My bad. It's a video. Okay. And I've made some notes, so I'm not going to comment through all the videos. You know, here for the record, he thanked the following academics: Dr. Joel Canestrelli, Dr. Stefano Vittori, PhD, Dr. Irene Maggio Carigliano, PhD. I don't think you pronounce that Majo, but I'm very sorry if I mispronounce any names. It's not on purpose. Luke Ranieri, and thanks to his full team. Okay, so he has quite a large following. He has 800,000 subscribers. So those in a few months or maybe in a year, he may reach the million mark. But this is not what prompted me to address this. So I have a few timestamp. Now, if he cares to respond to me, well, let me just address him. Metatron, greetings to you. My name is Shaka Nugukemed, and this channel here, as you can see, is my art forever. If you don't mind, I would like you, if there's one question that you answer, then I would like you to answer this one. I'm going to share the link, the chat right now. Oh, I forgot to send the link, Phoebe. I'm glad you're here. V Bennett is in the place to be. Tar was inquiring, so share the link to send the link to the brother Tar. I can't, most of the time I forget. I tell people, yeah, I'm gonna share the link, and then I just completely forget. So okay, so the museum, Paris, France. All right, you have it in the chat here. Amenhotep III in the Louvre Museum, Paris, France. You have the link. I did not paint this. This is an artifact located in that museum, which happens to be one of the most famous museums in the world, one of the most visited museums in the world, and if I'm not mistaken, one of the largest museums in the world. I don't think it's going to say that the Louvre Museum is Afrocentric or that they are Afrocentrists. But this is my question to you, Metatron. Amenhotep III is the father of Akhenaten. And it's safe to label him the grandfather of Tutankhamun, or King Tut. Now we can see that this is, oh, what happened there? Okay. You can see that the date here between 1390 and 1352 BCE. So this is roughly circa 1400 BC, but let's say 1300 BC, so nobody's going to bother us. Would you say that this individual here is multi-ethnic? I don't think Metatron will say that this is a Black African. So if this is a multi-ethnic person to you, Metatron, do you mind just telling us the different ethnic groups? Okay, so if there's one question I would like you to answer, is that one. Now, the Bennett wrote, many Black people have admixture but do not identify as multi-ethnic. Andrew Abundant is in the place to be. Now you're going to understand why I'm asking this question, because in his conclusion he says that the ancient Egyptians were multi-ethnic. But anyway, so let's deal with his video. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just 5 timestamps. Okay, so the first one is minute 6:18.
If you have ever wondered how to take vocals,
one were to look at your channel banner, well, you did go out of your way to take the entirety of planet Earth and turn it around just so you could put Africa on top of Europe.
Now, just for your information, Metatron, I don't think the purpose, but I cannot speak for him, is to put Africa on top of Europe. If you inquire about Egypt and the Nile, you may hear about the direction in which the Nile flows. So there's a possibility that the ancient Egyptian had that, I don't want to say worldview, but orientation. But I'm not tripping on that. Second timestamp is minute 7:09.
That doesn't exactly fill me with confidence when it comes to your supposed lack of bias. Let me say this. Egypt faces the Mediterranean. I am Mediterranean. My sea, my history too.
My sea, my history too. So for those who don't know, he says that he is Italian. in the video. I've shared the link. You can just have a look. So this conclusion seems quite strange to me. Now, just for the record, I'm going to be long on this. It's just an observation, really. Now, this world map here, might as well share the link just for the record. Those that may say, well, it's world map is wrong. Have the link in the chat. Now, mind you, he says that Egypt faces the Mediterranean, meaning the Mediterranean Sea, of course. All right. So hold on. So this is Egypt. This is the Mediterranean Sea. Now, facing to me, it will be left or right, but maybe people will say, you can say facing north, facing south, But if that's the case, can we say that not only the Italians, the history of Egypt is also the history of Italians and Greeks and Turks as well? Can we say that? Can we also say that it's the history of the Syrians as well? I mean, I'm just asking a question at this point, So I don't know if we can even ask if the history of Egypt is also the history of people from Corsica or Barcelona, from Spain, from Spanish people. Can we say the same also for Tunisians? But anyway, that's just for the record, I ain't gonna be nitpicking. Oh, I'm glad you wrote that, V. Bennett. My color, my history, LOL. Now, if we look on that same map, Egypt is facing Saudi Arabia, right? Or let's say it is facing the Red Sea. So can we say that the history of Egypt is also the history of Arabians and Yemenites? But it's okay, This is a sidebar. That's just in passing. Let's go back to the main video. I'm going to be long with that, So next timestamp is minute 20:54.
That is not enough. We don't just have statues from the Greeks. We have literary descriptions, we have iconography, we have representations. They called themselves white.
Now, for the record, he's talking about the Greeks, just so that there's no confusion. Okay, he's not talking about the ancient Egyptians.
I wish the Egyptians called themselves black. I know you think they did, but they didn't, as we'll see on the next section.
So he clearly said that the ancient Egyptians, right? I mean, we can hear it again. What was the timestamp? It was 20:54.
We don't just have statues from the Greeks. We have literary descriptions, we have iconography, we have representations. They called themselves white. I wish the Egyptians called themselves black. I know you think they did, but they didn't, as we'll see on the next section.
Oh, so that's clear. I'm not putting words in his mouth. That's his statement. Okay? So this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. Now, is it sharing properly? Yeah. Now, this book here is Middle Egyptian by James P. Allen, PhD. Middle Egyptian, An Introduction to the Language and Culture of Hieroglyphs. 3rd edition, right? So if we go to page 9, no, it's not page 9, hold on. I think it's page 5. Yes, it is page 5, right? But I'm going to start on page 4. Okay, you can see at the top left corner, page 4. So we have this artifact right there. We're going to deal with this artifact. But this is what we are told. When hieroglyphs accompany images, they normally face in the same direction as the image they refer to. In the scene reproduced below from Mir 5, plate 18. The man on the left is a sculptor, on the right is the seated statue he is working on. Above the sculptor's head are 2 rows of hieroglyphs facing right, which identify him as overseer of sculpting Ijau. The 3 rows of hieroglyphs above the statue read Statue of the Courtier, Overseer of Priest Amenhotep the Black. This is James P. Allen. I don't think that Metatron will label James P. Allen Afrocentrist. Here we can see that we are on page 5, and they face left like the statue itself. Now, I know from the video that I've seen that Metatron is familiar with the Chem glyph, got in a reference I6, which is right here. So there we have Henenit and we have Chem. So of course, that's the translation, Henenit the Black. Okay, that's just for the record. So we're gonna see when it comes to integrity, when it comes to honesty, if Metatron would admit that he was wrong with his statement. Okay, young Hero is in the place. How you doing? But a little bit more insight about this Mir 5. Here we have the book entitled The Rock Tombs of Mir Part 5, 1953, by Aylward M. Blackman. Ironically, his surname, his family name is Blackman. I'm not claiming he is black, it just happens to be his surname. Okay, so he was a British archaeologist. I don't think Metatron will label him Afrocentrist, but I'm going to share the link to this book on the Internet Archive. Okay, I'm going to do that right now. There it is. You have it in the chat right here. Okay, so what do we have? Oh, ironically, it's also page 5. See, it's also page 5. Now it says Amenhotep the Black and his family. As already pointed out in Rock Tombs of Mir, page 9, page 9, or page 9, we have the glyphs, Pepi, Ni Ankh Kem. Some people will read that Pepi and Ankh Kem. So it's the same I6 glyph, got in the reference I6, the Kem glyph, transliterated with the letter K, and the letter M. And it says Pep Ni Ankh Pepi the Black. Right? Now here we have what's also called Merida. We have the honorific transposition or honorific inversion. I ain't going to go to the grammar of the ancient Egyptian language or Medu-Neter. And then we have Ni Ankh Kem. And here we have the letters Ni Ankh Merire. It's the same as Merida, you know. The Black. My goodness. Okay. Now here it says, and furthermore, bore the good names of Sobek Hotep. Here it says Sobek Hotpe, you know, but hey, that's Sobek, that's Hotep. See plates 5, 2, and 12. And then we have Happy Kem. And the translation is Pepi the Black. I mean, that's 3 different ones now at this point. Okay. So, something else I want to show. TV Bennett will need Ankh Pepi the Black and his family. I want to share something else from the Met Museum. Metropolitan Museum of Art. I don't think that Metatron will say that they are Afrocentrists. Boom, it's in the chat. Okay. Now let's have a look. That's the page, Met Publications, Egyptian Art in the Age of the Pyramids by James P. Allen, Susan Allen, Julie Anderson. Too many people to name. Too many people to name. His title is out of print, so you can download the PDF or read online. And here, I'm going to share the link in the chat. All I did basically is read online. And in the search here, I've put the Black. And here you have page 67. I'm going to share the link in the chat. Oh, what happened? Did it open in a new window? Oh, yes, it has opened in a new window. Okay. All right, so let me go back. Okay, never mind. Good thing I checked. There it is. So the search here, the search box is here. The search box, sorry, is here. All right. And all I did is this, the Black, boom. Then you have a choice, right? And I chose this one, page 67. Okay, so here I'm copying. I'm going to check in a new window that it leads you to the right page. Well, you have the choice actually. So I'm going to put the link here, page 67. Boom, you have it in the chat. Right? So what happens, that link is you have that choice and you choose here, page 67. Okay? Now first, you have those two statues. And at the bottom, what does it say? Figure 42, Pepi Ankh the Black, Egyptian Museum, Cairo, CG60. And here you have figure 43, Pepi Ankh the Black, Egyptian Museum, Cairo, CG236. You can see it's page 67. So I don't think, once again, that what's his name again? Metatron. Metatron will say that the Met Museum is Afrocentrist. So I'm almost finished. I think I just have a couple of timestamp for that video. I wonder if I should let those 3 minutes play. I think I will do that. So you will hear how meticulous he will be when it comes to linguistics. I may as well do that. Let's hear him. That's right after he said, you wish they were, you think they are black, but let's listen again.
White. I wish the Egyptians called themselves black. I know you think they did, but they didn't, as we'll see on the next section.
The land known as Kemet, that is ancient Egypt's real name, Kemet, that is ancient Egypt.
I have a plethora of problems with your fixation of the word Kemet, which is also a common trait among Afrocentrists. Now, I myself have used the word Kemet on occasion. It's not that the word is wrong, but fixating on it has zero linguistic standing. Let me elaborate. First and foremost, do you always use the correct and appropriate?
Now, I find it strange that he says fixation. It is a term that is attested. It's not made up, so there's nothing wrong with using that term. But anyway, let's continue.
Term for describing a nation. Do you say Japan? Wrong, it's Nihon. Do you say China? Wrong, it's Zhongguo. Do you say Germany? Wrong, it's Deutschland. Also, for reference, linguistically speaking, ancient Egyptian is an Afro-Asiatic language, and it does not have, for as much as we understand, Southern African origins. It's Kamito-Semitic.
I'm not really sure what he's trying to do when he talks about a language phylum or family, but let's continue. I ain't gonna trip on that.
Geographically, Asia is physically connected to Africa, which is something that people seem to forget. Also, when you say Kemet, you're using the so-called E of convention used by Egyptologists when they don't know how to vocalize consonants. But the fact that archaeologists use it doesn't mean that that's the correct way to pronounce it.
So now he's talking about the vocalization of the ancient Egyptian language. Regardless of how it was vocalized, whether we know it or not, we know the meaning. That's the most important issue here.
Archaeologists, not linguists. To reconstruct ancient Egyptian, we need to vocalize it through Coptic and loanwords in Hebrew and in Greek, similarly to how classical Latin has been reconstructed. And throughout,
when he says Coptic, which is the latest stage, the latest phase of the ancient Egyptian language, I'm like, okay, fine. But him talking about what other language did he mention besides Hebrew?
linguists.
Now, I'm not a linguist, mind you, so I may be wrong on that. This is just a detail at this point.
To reconstruct ancient Egyptian, we need to vocalize it through Coptic and loanwords in Hebrew and in Greek.
Hebrew and Greek. Well, there may be some good basis, but we have the Coptic, so we may not need the Greek. You know what I'm saying? But anyway,
similarly to how classical Latin has been reconstructed, and throughout the transcription of cuneiform script of the Neo-Babylonian period and Assyrian, also building with the similarities of the Saiti dialect, we know that linguistically speaking, the pronunciation Kemet has no academic linguistic dignity. It clearly comes from the Coptic pronunciation Kem and Kemi in the Boairic dialect. The long air in open syllable.
It's funny, he says he comes. Listen to what he said.
Dignity. It clearly comes from the Coptic pronunciation Kem.
As soon as he says that he has to pronounce it, Kemet has no linguistic dignity, he says it comes from the Coptic Kem. If it comes from the Coptic Kem And in the Metatron, we have the loaf of bread, got in the reference X1, which gives us the T sound or T. How come he can claim that he has no linguistic dignity? I heard the T was dropped in the Coptic. So if we have the T and it comes from Kem, you add the T at the end of Kem, you have Kemet. But anyway.
Linguistic. Know that linguistically speaking, the pronunciation Kemet has no academic linguistic dignity.
Linguistically, the pronunciation Kemet has no linguistic academic dignity. I mean, dang.
Speaking, the pronunciation. Also building with the similarities of the Saitic dialect, we know that linguistically speaking, the pronunciation Kemet has no academic linguistic dignity. It clearly comes from the Coptic pronunciation Kem and Kemi in the Boaeric dialect. The long air in open syllable in that specific position helps us understand that most likely in classical Egyptian we have a U in that position. So if we really want to be precise, then the correct and most likely pronunciation in ancient Egyptian, specifically in classical Egyptian, is kumat, kumatu, nominative, kumata, accusative, and kumati, oblique genitive. Now let's discuss this hieroglyphic inscription that you...
You know, if you don't mind, Metatron, can you give me some sources? Like who told you that? Where did you read that? Because you said classical Egyptian. When you say classical Egyptian, which time period it is? Like is it old Egyptian? Is it Middle Egyptian? Or you're not talking about Coptic, are you? But that's a detail at this point. But let's continue here.
present as evidence that Kemet or Kumat in fact meant land of the black, according to you.
So, Kemet, the black land or the land of the blacks? Does it apply to the people or to the land? Probably the fertile soil, and also very
Vibeta is asking, is there anything called linguistic dignity? I don't know. I ain't gonna say that he's being indignant. you know, who knows? Maybe in linguistics, it's a term that is known or common or current, or maybe it's just a figure of speech. So Young Railroad, that's crazy. How the hell you're just gonna change the letter? Oh no, well, I wouldn't call it changing the letter, but he got that from somewhere, unless he made that up. So he thanked several academics at the beginning of his video, so he may have got that from some of them. I'm just curious, really, about who said that, and where we can find any, writing about that, or maybe video, to find out who made that claim. And also, I'm just curious to know what he means by classical Egyptian. But let's continue here.
very likely by extension to the skin color of the originators of those words. Yes, you can translate it to the black land, and as far as I agree, it refers to the fertile soil.
Now, for those who didn't get it, actually, he's responding to somebody. You see, the title of his video is My Response to an Afrocentrist on Black Egyptians. He gives the name of the person at the beginning. He shows his channel and all that, So that's the person who's speaking right now. We can make the difference between that voice here and the voice of Metatron, that I didn't know until today when his video came on my feed.
The op found a place where Kemet was followed by a man and a woman sitting and three dots. So you take Kemet, which means the black, plus people. Literally, it means the black people.
We have Kemet followed by a man and a woman sitting with three dots. This is the determinative meaning humanity, but to you it must mean black.
Now, determinative meaning humanity, I wouldn't say that, but it's not a big issue here. It's not a problem to me. What he called dots, I would call them strokes. The three strokes, or the stroke of the plural or plural strokes. But I don't have any problem so far. Besides, the person that he responded to has used the term dots as well, right? Okay, so let's continue here in this.
People. First of all, the adjectival noun imperative meaning humanity, but to you it must mean black people. First of all, the adjectival noun in plural form, kemetiu, just means Egyptians. Kemet or Kumat
Now here you see what I find interesting is we heard how meticulous he was. Yeah, you know, the linguistics, you know what I'm saying, dignity. And now it says, you know, let's hear it again.
Kemetiu just means Egyptians.
Kemetiu just means Egyptians. And he gave examples of different countries and how those countries are called in their distinctive languages, in their distinctive native tongues. So, you know, if he says it means the black or the black one or the black country, you know, I would understand. I wouldn't mind. But after being so meticulous about linguistics, for him to say that he means the Egyptians, I find it interesting, not to say strange, you know. Donny Williams is the place to be. He wrote, it doesn't mean humanity, it's specific. It means Kemetic people, and he changes to humanity. Well, you know, I mean, personally, I'm not saying I may have written that what 15 years ago or so. But for a few years, I've said that personally, I translate Kemet as the black, you know, the black, right? So some people say, you know, it means black people or the land of the blacks, you know, but personally, I translate it as the black. Kemet, I translate it as the black, you know. Now, I think I only have one more. 2402. What time? What is the time stamp now? Yeah, one more time stamp, and I see that's the end. Oh no, there's something else I want you to hear.
Kumata or Kumat jam can, but to you it must mean black people. First of all, the adjectival noun in plural form Kemetiu just means Egyptians. Kumata or Kumat just means black land, not the land of the black, as opposed to the red land of the desert. The thing is, though, that if this means black land and this is people, why can it not be then black people? Well, this is an answer that you don't need an Egyptologist or a fully qualified linguist, you just need a first year student to answer. Differently from English, in Egyptian, the adjective goes after the noun. It is in predicative form, not in attributive form. So in this language, it makes no sense to say first black and then men and women. If they wanted to say black people, they would write it the other way around. People black. And it just so happens that my language, Italian, functions the exact same way.
So it will say people black, right? Okay. Now, this time, I'm going to share a dissertation hosted check on the website of the University of Birmingham. It's a thesis submitted for the degree of Master of Philosophy. So I'm going to share it in the chat. I don't think it's going to say that the University of Birmingham is Afrocentrist. And the link, put this in the chat. So you have it in the chat now. Let me share it. So as you can see, the tomb of Pepi Ankh Henikem, and we've seen I think we've seen Henikem before, you know, but if I go back, we had Happy the Black, we had okay, yeah, but there's others, but it's okay, let's, you know, I'll give you the link to the archive.org. So it is written by Francis James Michael Simons, and you can see it says a thesis. Let me share. Yeah, it is sharing. It is sharing. A thesis submitted to the University of Birmingham for the degree of Master of Philosophy. And you can double check the root of the website. It is definitely the University of Birmingham. Department of Classics, Ancient History and Archaeology, School of Humanities, College of Arts and Law, University of Birmingham, November 2013. So that was a decade ago. You see, University of Birmingham. Okay. So I'm going to go down to page 58, which is, you need to put 62 here on the PDF search. Oh, you know what? No, it's okay. It's okay. Okay. When I first began work on this dissertation, I produced as complete a translation and I'm sorry, a complete let me do it again. I messed that up. When I first began work on this dissertation, I produced as complete a transliteration and translation of the tomb as my abilities allow. It became obvious fairly quickly that there would not be space to discuss the entire tomb, and so much of this work was not used. I append it here as Appendix 3, principally because no other transliteration of the tomb exists in print. As it was not used in the body of this essay, however, I have not gone to great lengths to solve the trickier problems of translation. As such, a great deal more of the work than is preferable is simply a succession of question marks. In addition, such phrases as are not certain have been left a different shade to indicate this fact. All plate reference are to Blackman 1953. Now we've seen that earlier, right? Appendix 1, Sir Dab translation. South Wall top register. Now here we have Henny Kem. What does it say here? Henny the Black. People, black. Person, color, or adjective, black. Here again, Henny Kem, Henny the Black. Here, Henenit Kem, Henenit the Black, as we have seen on page 5 of Middle Egyptian by Dr. James P. Allen. Again, Henny Kem, Henny the Black. Here, Henny Kem and Henny Kem, Henny the Black, Henny the Black. Actually, I did not read that properly. I said Henny Kem and Henny Kem. Henny Kem and Henny Kem, which gives us Henny the Black and Henny the Black. Here we have Henenit Kem, Henenit the Black. And once again, Henny Kem, Henny the Black. Oh, here for the record, in this footnote 207, he wrote, this is uncertain in Blackman's report, but here it says on plate 40 shows Hennikem. Blackman translates Hennikem. Oh, okay, I was thinking because I know what it means, when translated to English. But yeah, anyway. So we have again Hennikem, Henny the Black, and so on. Okay. Henny the Black, Henny the Black. Okay, so it's not a rare occurrence. It's not a one-off. It's not something that happened just one. It's not just an exception. And I could provide, some other artifact or attestation, let's say, attestation, where we have came used after a person's name. Okay. So finally, last time stamp. Hold on. Yes, but Shaka is just a coincidence. Came It's just a coincidence. Cam keeps coming up translated as black by scholars. Scholars, but I'm sure that Metatron will not say by Afrocentrists. So finally, last time stamp, which is his conclusion. And it is 3437.
In the majority of cases, the adjective follows the noun. It's after the noun, and it will make no sense to say, in fact, just like in English, black people. The ancient Egyptians would have said people black, but they don't.
But they don't. But it's okay. So 34, 37. You may trip on people. Say, but you didn't show the word people. You showed somebody's given name. You showed a name before. 34, 37. Let's hear it. And we have the ad that I'm going to skip.
I double down. The ancient Egyptians were multi-ethnic and multicultural. Still, Welimika, thank you for your time and thank you for your effort.
So let's hear it again.
And I double down.
He doubles down.
The ancient Egyptians were multi-ethnic.
The ancient Egyptians were multi-ethnic
and multicultural.
And multicultural, you know. Okay. So, which leads us to my question to Metatron. Metatron, is Amenhotep III a black Egyptian or multi-ethnic? If he is multi-ethnic, would you mind telling us the different ethnicity? Now, three bonuses actually. Three different museums from three different countries. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put the name of the museum. His first bonus is from Denmark. P. Bennett is in Denmark. If he has time, he can holler in that museum. So Egyptians had no specific cultural traits. LOL. So here the title is Black Egyptians 4,000 years ago. Glyptoteket Museum in Denmark. Okay, so let's see this link.
Greetings. Glyptotek Museum in Denmark's capital of Copenhagen. You can have an example of the dark-brown Egyptians that they normally don't show you.
Metatron, are those multi-ethnic people? Do you mind telling me the different ethnicities that we see on these individuals?
And as I said before,
Or are
most
those
of the
black
time,
Egyptians to you?
the older the artifacts and the darker the individuals look. And we're talking about Kemet, of course. First, I will show the reference. So, 1 second. There it is. Baking, brewing, and butchery seen from the tomb of Wajet Hotep at Sedment is made of wood during the 7th and 11th dynasty, circa 2150 to 2050 BC. This is 4,000 years old. Reference 1571. And the lighting here is very low. I'm not an expert at preservation of artifacts, but I presume it is to make sure that the artifacts will last. Okay.
So, one thing I almost forgot to show. On that dissertation hosted on the university, the Birmingham University, right? Okay. On page 3, abstract. This study examines the life and career of the 6th dynasty official Pepi Ankh Henikem of Mer. So sixth dynasty, for those who wonder, you have this link to Britannica because Metatron says that he doesn't use Wikipedia, and that's his right. I can understand. Um, One moment. Boom. So you have that link here from Wikipedia showing you the Egyptian dynasties. The link is in the chat. And here, what does it say? It starts with the first, so of course we go down. Sixth dynasty, circa 2300 to 2100 BCE. So that's 4,000 years ago. That's over 2000 BCE. Because I don't know if some people want to focus on the Greek, the late period. I don't know if somebody's going to argue that Australians, or let's say the Aboriginals, the indigenous inhabitants of Australia, are multi-ethnic or were multi-ethnic. At some point, a population, a group of people went over there, took control, and to this day, you know, they are in control of the land. But anyway, that's just a sidebar. Let's focus on my main question. Anything else that Metatron wants to talk about, he can, because I've noticed in his response to that I've played, and once again, you have the link in the chat, he digressed a lot about a lot of things, a lot of details that's a bit besides the point, in my opinion, but, you know, free speech, freedom of speech. So the second bonus this time is the Netherlands, or as some people say, Holland. It's a bit of a misnomer, but so I'm going to put that in the chat as well. There are some smart people who like to show artifacts from the late period, the periods when the Greeks ruled. The Greeks are not indigenous inhabitants of ancient Egypt. So let me share this. As you can see, the title says Amsterdam, Black Egyptians from the Middle Kingdom.
Greetings. Albert Pearson Museum, Amsterdam. Now, I've shown you depiction of ancient Egyptian where they are dark brown. We don't see them too often, but we still have some in different countries. And you can see what happens when the color fades. You see, for example, you can see that the color is fading around the hair, even the body here as well. As you can see, there's not much light in this room, and I presume it's to preserve the artifacts. But for the record here, this boat here, number 8, the reference says that it's a
Okay, and now third and final bonus. This time, if I'm not mistaken, it's Museo Egizio in Torino. That's actually Metatron's home country of Italy. That museum is great. There's other museums in Italy that I would like to go to. Unfortunately, the one in Milano uh, was on the construction, where the Egyptian section was on the reconstruction or refurbishment. I mean, there was some work in progress, basically, and that's when I ended up going to Bologna. And for those who remember, I was at the train station, and I said, if people want to show me some love and help me out, and people did, come through, and I was very happy. And I went to Bologna and shared, the artifacts that I filmed. But Turin's museum in Italy, oh my goodness, it is so great. But anyway, just getting carried away. So in the chat, you have this: ancient Egyptians black like you rarely see. Tomb of Ini.
Greetings, Uzio Igizio. This is another intact tomb, just like it says here. This is the tomb of Ini. Look at the color of the individuals on the boat. Dark brown. Now, what I haven't found yet is a date. Now, the glyphs look beautiful. Let's read the description. The whole burial assemblage clearly shows the evolution of funerary customs in this period. But you know what? Let me just read this description. I'll read it for you. It says the year 1911 was a very fortunate one for the excavations of the Italian archaeological mission of the Turin Museum at Ghibelline, a site 30 kilometers south of Luxor, of a vertical funerary shaft
So
where he found the burial
I fast forward it because what's important is for us to see the artifact.
tomb.
I wonder if those are multi-ethnic. Multi-ethnic. Are those multi-ethnic, Metatron?
Pour tous les mecs qui galèrent.
Okay. So feel free to tune in my next live stream entitled Moses is not a Hebrew name, it's an Egyptian name. And you have the link. I'm just gonna follow along. Now, the Bennett wrote Shaka, the Green Sahara was on the Mediterranean, the same place the Bantu come from originally. Are they the same as the Italian people or Greek? Well, that's your question to him, and he heard it. But for the record, I did tag him, and I also went on his video, and I left a comment. Actually, oh, is he still sharing? Oh, let me put this. He's free to answer, like he's free not to answer. It's on him. But as you can see, I refresh, it will be more than 3 minutes ago, but I wrote, I'd Metatron it. It's Metatron, but when you do the tagging. But anyway, was Amenhotep III Black, Egyptian, or multi-ethnic? And then you have the link here. Okay, so if I refresh, let's see if he's still there. Oh, there's one reply already. Okay. Maybe if I do sort by newest first, then the reply will show, because the reply doesn't show here. Newest first. Oh, did it disappear? Okay, that's weird. Top comments. Well, unfortunately, I cannot see the reply for a strange reason. A reply don't show. Maybe it will show later on. Okay, and I tagged him as well. I go to my community timeline. I have tagged him. All right, so he will get some notification that I made this video. So he's free to answer, just like he's free not to answer. And if anybody else wants to make some commentary, then you do have the comment section. All right. So thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. If I'm allowed to go to nature, I will definitely holler back at you. I don't argue, I state facts. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. If you do not think right, you will not act right. If you know better, you will do better. Do it to do it. Hotep and tune in. Once again, you have the link in the chat. Moses is not a Hebrew name, it's an Egyptian name. And if you are not subscribed to this channel, then you may learn a thing or two. Peace.